So my name is Sophie Allan. I'm a third-year trainee clinical psychologist at the University of East Anglia. I'm also someone who has this thing that I call psychosis. I had a breakdown when I was 18 and I have ongoing unusual experiences. So I'm still a newbie at ISPS and still new to the debates about language around psychosis, so please bear with me if I'm being a bit too medical. I'm doing my best. I want to use the time that I have to talk about pathways to help and how we need to be offering the right help to people earlier along their journey of help seeking. It's the topic I'm exploring for my clinical psychology thesis, but also has a personal resonance for me in terms of someone who has experienced what we might call psychosis. In terms of my personal journey, there was missed opportunity after missed opportunity to intervene. The right help would have alleviated my distress and perhaps prevented what might be described as my psychotic episode. I didn't have any unusual experiences till I was 18, but as a distressed and traumatized young person, there was a significant bank of people who could have provided the help that I desperately needed. I was one of those people who ostensibly refused help, stemming from an experience of my confidentiality being broken. But in actual fact, I was desperate for it, and people could and should have kept trying. My unusual experiences started when I was 18 in the first few weeks of university. My experiences escalated so quickly that here the opportunities to intervene weren't as extensive, but were definitely there. From the college tutor who fobbed me off when I told him that there was a gardener under my window spying on me. He was actually pruning the flowers. To the GP nurse who should have recognised at the very least that I was incredibly anxious. To college staff who I variously harassed over a couple of days about this challenge and when it would be over. Lack of appropriate help at these times led to terrifying, agonising experiences and huge distress, which took years to recover from, and the ripples of it continue to affect me. And I'm one of the lucky ones. My experience of mental health services has, for the most part, been positive. I'm aware I'm one of the so-called compliant patients. I'm from an affluent background, I have good family support. But the most devastating about these pathways to help seeking is I'm not alone. I'm researching help seeking with people under the care of early intervention services. And here, once again, I see people passed from pillar to post, dismissed, discarded from services with a "you don't meet my threshold here" and "sorry, you're too unwell" there. And this isn't just unfortunate. It means people end up in hospital, in contact with the police, traumatized from their experience of services, their distress magnified, and the chances of leading the life that they want reduced. And people don't get access to the help that they need through no fault of their own. So what are the solutions? They're undoubtedly complex. I mean, if they weren't, then someone would have done something radical by now. I don't think it's just that we need more money for mental health services, although that might help reduce the threshold so that people are seen more quickly. So I've had a few ideas from my personal perspective. As already mentioned, if mental health services are to continue, we need to actively involve people in lived experience about how that help is offered. This can't merely be to consult them at the end of the planning stage as a tick box exercise. Too often, people with lived experience are sidelined and silenced from the conversation. As also mentioned, we need more peer support. I would have hugely benefited from seeing a peer support worker in my early days. I used to be a peer support worker, and I feel it can be transformative, both for the person being supported and for the peer worker. We need to focus on distress and stop putting people into boxes, that these people over here are psychotic and deserving of mental health help, and those people are not. If we decide that mental health services are helpful, which I know that they are to some people and aren't to others, we need services that don't kick out young people when they're 16, 17, 18. At a time when they're most vulnerable, when they're transitioning so much in other aspects of their lives, leaving school, getting a job, leaving care, it's the very worst time to be discharging people. Finally, we need a more radical solution. We need to end austerity. We need universal basic income, or at the very least, a benefit system that is fit for purpose, that is a true safety net for those that need them. Above all, what we need is not to have a Tory government. Who's with me?